Let's do this. I'm leaving an interesting conversation on the feeds about Instagram followers, how they think they're being portrayed, etc., etc. So here we go. It is a recap of episode 9 of Big Brother 16. Zach was relieved that he was safe. You know, he legitimately did have a reason to kind of worry because, you know, he didn't portray himself in the best light. And then when he did get put up, and then it was just damage control from then on, you know. But they set Paula up, and I have to admit, I have been kind of missing her on the feeds because she was a little firecracker. You know, she was fun. She was a good comic relief now and then. Devin tries to subliminally at that point try to get Derek to put him up on the block, but Derek is like, smarter than that. Not going to give you 2 chances to try to get yourself off. We're totally going to backdoor you. But unfortunately, because of Devin's slip or not the slip, but the intentional outing of the bomb squad, a lot of fires had to be put out. And so you see the guests all scrambling, and the first of which is Christine going to tell Nicole that she was a part of the bomb squad. And Nicole is just like, what? Huh? Wow, bomb squad, in her nasally voice. But, you know, interestingly, you know, because the two of them have a friendship, she kind of, you know, let it go. But later on in the episode, Donnie kind of brings that up, and that is actually kind of interesting to me. So they all get to go up to the HOH room, and they both get their letters, Nicole and Derek. And Derek got a little bit of artwork where his baby's hands and feet made, you know, little art project, and he says, oh, her hands and feet have gotten bigger. And I'm like, what, in the 3 weeks since you've been gone? And sometimes they hold them up in a hotel for about a week, sometimes 2 before, but really, even in 5 weeks, can a baby's hands get that bigger? Or their feet? But I think it was more just that, you know, she actually had some sort of a operation, like the first week after they were in there, or the second week, sometime during the second week. So he was actually quite concerned about her that day. So Nicole and Derek at that point get together and start to talk about the nominations, which is really, what I really enjoyed is that Derek never really told her, you know, this is who you're going to put up, this is who I'm going to put up. Nicole has a mind of her own, and she was really not afraid to show it, as we saw when she last minute decided that Donnie was going to be the one that was going to be put up as her second nomination. So we skip to Nicole and Hayden flirting, and that is just absolutely adorbs. I mean, she's just, you know, this little girl from the middle of, I guess, nowhere or whatever, and she has those old school values and whatnot, and so they have been cuddling a lot, actually. I mean, you know, none of that touchy-feely kind of kissy kind of stuff, but they do cuddle for little bits of time here and there in the room. Derek starts working the mist and actually gets Caleb to volunteer himself because Amber was going to be put up by Nicole, and by doing so he could save her by not winning the Battle of the Block, allowing them to win and allowing them to come down off of the block. So at that point, Nicole and Donnie start to talk. He tells her that Christine and Amber were actually a part of the bomb squad, and since Nicole said, you know, Amber is my first, I don't know who to put up for the second. And I think that him bringing that up was quite legitimate. You know, he's like, how close are you really to her? And she was pretty close. Yeah, close enough that she didn't tell you until she had to tell you that she was in this secret alliance of 8. You know, so him pointing that out and saying, you know, are they really a friend, you know, at the very end of it all, I thought was very valid on his point. And then, of course, as we find out, she never told him that he wasn't allowed to talk about it. I think it's just in general implied that if you talk game about, certain things, you're not to go around and go out talking about it. However, again, Donnie is not stupid. It was very valid when they ended up speaking a little bit later that, she never told him not to talk about it. But, so Amber hears Donnie talking to Jocasta and Brittany about the plan of them of who is going up and Caleb throwing it. And so she hurries and runs to the HOH to let them know. And then eventually that is how Donnie gets put on the block. Nicole, she says to Amber, "You're a great competitor, but you also nominated me. And Donnie, I adore you and stuff, but I heard things." And she really, really was kind of torn up. A couple of times she came out of the diary rooms with her eyes all swollen, and everybody's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" "Oh, I had to talk about Donnie's nominations, and that was really hard for me, so it's hard for me. But anyway, Derek's nominations were Jocasta and Caleb. He told Jocasta, people have said that you're a floater, but I don't think that that's true, but I'm giving you a chance to prove it. And he told Caleb, you're a beast and a very strong competitor, but he volunteered, so I'm taking him up on that opportunity to put him up. Well, at that point, Devin shakes his head, and as they start leaving, he says, "Sometimes the back door is the only door." He knew what was up. So Jocasta gave Derek the cold shoulder when he went to go hug her, and Donnie was hurt because, he just spoke to Nicole, and there he was being put up on the block by her. Devin's diary room just proves that the house guests are right in that his acting with Grace this week and is trying to get onto their good side and hoping that Caleb, or one of the others will act the fool and kind of flip the script, but they got his number. They know, and they, the tyranny that he ran the house with for that last week when he was the HOH is not going to be easily forgotten. Victoria tries to get Frankie to talk a little bit about his family, mostly about his sister, that no one knows. On to Team America. Team America got their first thing to do, and it was to get 3 people to spread a rumor that someone is related to a past house guest. Now, this is where I kind of missed a few things because I'm looking down and I'm writing things and I haven't taken the time to look back at tape. I believe they have either 3 or 4 days to do this. I believe it's 4 because they're taking a little bit of time getting on this task, let me tell you. They decided that they were going to spread the rumor that as Paula was leaving, she told them that Zach was related to Amanda. And it works because they both live in Florida. They're both loud. And the only thing that I see happening from this rumor is that it could really screw Zach's game, especially because, he was the idiot the week before. I think Donnie said something about let's start with the dumbest first, and I think he said the names Amber and Devin, to start spreading it. I think more not the dumbest to the ones that have the loosest lips that like to sink ships. Anyway, Donnie and Nicole finally meet, and that's when he asked, "Did you ask me not to say anything about it?" And she thought about it, and anyway, they decided to make peace, and they've kind of sort of entered into a kind of sort of teamship. No sort of alliance, but someone that they could definitely talk to one another in terms of game. Then we come to Battle of the Block that is called Abracababa, and it was called The Magical World of Frog Wars. And that was interesting because eventually, and I'll tell you a little bit of spoilers at the end of this, because it ended up not being anything to do with frogs, but the rubber ducky in the pool. And so one team member had to retrieve some pieces from one end and give it to the other team member who was a flyer. And it was kind of like a Harry Potter kind of theme. And as they kind of ran, they would pull and they would lift their other team member up, and they would place the puzzle piece, accordingly. And it ended up being a rubber ducky with a wizard's hat on it. And Amber and Donnie were just really going through it. Amber was an idiot, and if it wasn't for Donnie, there's no way that there's no way, none whatsoever. But because of Donnie, they worked with perfect teamwork. He told her exactly how to turn it, and when he'd go to the right, to the right, to the right, I was screaming, to the other right! Yeah, to her right. Anyway, I'm sure, like I say it every time, it's easy for us to speak. Yes, I know. And the pressure of you being out there and you battling for your life has a lot to do with how stupid you end up looking. Yes, I do understand that. Caleb and Jocasta were kind of semi-competing. Caleb was throwing it, but still trying to not appear to look like he was throwing it. And in the long run, Donnie and Amber wins, and Jocasta says, I'm going to be sick. So at this point, that's where we end. I'm going to tell you, see you later. I'm going to start to do spoilers and chat talk. Feed chat, whatever. Jocasta got very sick. She got very, very sick, to the point where she was pretty much missing for about almost an entire day. It ends up that she had heat stroke and dehydration, and apparently what it is she, for some reason, feels that she's the little baby Jesus' friend, and so she shouldn't have to use the regular toilet that everyone else has to use, and likes using the HOH toilet, but she didn't like going up there when Devin was the HOH. So apparently she held it in for an entire week. And I'm not talking pee, well, maybe it is pee, I don't know. We're talking poo. And apparently, she, at some point, it all came tumbling down. And apparently she released just a little too much. So anyway, she was majorly dehydrated. Her blood pressure was scary low. Just today, actually, and they did that Battle of the Block, if I'm not mistaken, either Thursday, it was Friday, so today is Sunday, so 2 days of pretty much doing nothing, and people helping her, hold her arms and, etc., to get her around. She's only now starting to move around with confidence and without someone helping her, and actually like cooking and whatnot. That was pretty scary, because we all started thinking, she's gonna have to leave, which means we won't have an eviction this week, and we're thinking, oh my God, we're gonna have another week of Devin, we're gonna try to work his magic, which doesn't really work apparently. So yeah, and then there's Nicole, who the reason the froggy part came in is wearing a frog costume for the rest of the week until eviction evening. They did talk a little bit about the POV that Donnie won. So Donnie won it, and he is planning tomorrow to take Jocasta down, at which point Devin will be put up. The little bit that they talked about was it had something to do with spelling out, but Caleb was trying to spell with numbers, and Donnie said that it first went Christine versus Devin, and Devin won. Then Derek versus Devin, and Devin won. Did I tell you guys that he got chosen to be up in the POV competition? Yeah, his name got pulled. And then the third competition was Donnie versus Devin, and Donnie won. And Amber volunteered to be a have-not, and Devin, Caleb, and Hayden were also have-nots, and their choices along with slop are tomatillas, tortillas, and tripe. So that's what they're working with this week. And I think that that's about it that I can share with you. So we'll see you on, I'll see you tomorrow after we find out if Donnie really uses the POV and if Jocasta comes down and Devin goes up.